Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer, and this is TV Talk. It's Sunday, and that means it's Dragon's Day. And this week's episode of Dragons Riders of Berk was The Terrible Twos. In this episode, Hiccup and his friends find a little dragon that they can't find any reference to in the Book of Dragons. After putting it through some tests, they decide to name it a typhoomerang, or name its species a typhoomerang, and Hiccup's father gives it the name of Torch. However, throughout most of this episode, Toothless is not acting the way he usually does. And Hiccup can't understand why, and eventually chalks it up to the fact that Toothless is jealous of Torch, as Torch is staying with Hiccup at his house. Now, it does start out that Toothless is jealous of Torch, but eventually Toothless discovers something about Torch that he tries to tell Hiccup, and it takes a while for Hiccup to understand exactly what Toothless is trying to tell him. Now, the whole premise of this episode was communication, and the fact that you don't want to jump to conclusions about something until you have all the facts. Hiccup immediately thought that because Torch had come to stay with them, and that he was spending all of his time with Torch trying to learn everything he could about him and document him for the Book of Dragons, that Toothless was getting jealous, as he was, up until this point, the only dragon that was really staying at the house. And then when Toothless was trying to tell him something very important, he just couldn't figure out what he was trying to say until it was almost too late. This is very important, not just with people, but with animals. Sometimes animals know things that we don't. They can pick up and sense things that we don't. For example, in my house, we can almost always tell when we're going to have a bad storm, because my dog, and sometimes my cats, but mostly my dog, starts to act differently. She starts to act very skittish. And that is a very good indicator for us that it's going to storm. She's trying to tell us that. So, and we can also tell, like, when there's another cat or something hanging out around the house, because my cats will start acting very territorial, and they don't usually act very territorial, at least not to each other. So you can, but communication between humans and animals can be very hard because we don't speak the same language, and that's basically what's going on here. Toothless is trying to tell Hiccup something very important about little Torch, and because they don't speak the same language, Hiccup is having trouble understanding what Toothless is trying to say, and until he realizes what it is, makes the decision that he has to separate the two, and rather than take Torch out of the equation, he takes Toothless to the cove, and it very nearly gets him and his friends in trouble when they actually figure out what Toothless is trying to say to them. And Hiccup actually sums up at the end of the episode the moral very nicely, saying that communication between humans and dragons in this instance is very important. The dragon needs to listen to what the rider is saying, but the rider needs to listen to the dragon, because sometimes what they're trying to say is just as important. And that's true in our world. Communications between humans and animals are important. Anybody who works with animals, like, search and rescue dogs, service dogs, police dogs, and whatnot, police horses and whatnot, or just, plain herding animals, mostly dogs and stuff, because we do use dogs for a lot of that, understand that the dog does need to listen to what you're saying, but when the dog or the animal is trying to say something to you or trying to tell you something, you need to listen, because what they're trying to say to you may be important. And so that kind of like really just sums up that episode very nicely. Again, this was kind of middle-ish of episodes I like. We really won't get into the episodes I really like until like within the next 3 episodes. So we still got a couple, because we're still kind of building to a degree. I mean, this one was actually the first one where they're not building on things, but they're still trying to do that. You know, just doing a premises. But I did like it to a degree. It showed, again, it showed the protective nature of the dragons, just like last week's episode did, just a little more one-on-one. And it did show that that dragons do have emotions like humans do, as Toothless does start off jealous of Torch. So about mid-range in ways of how I like it, and we will be seeing Torch again in later episodes. That's about all I have to say on this week's episode of Dragons. Feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The information will be in the description. Like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. That also helps me out a lot. I'm Jennifer. This has been Movie Talk, and I will see you again next time.